All right, so summarize. Another big part is how, when you're in a detailed conversation, the number one thing we want that other person to know is that we heard them, right? And they want to know that we heard them. So how do we do that? We simply summarize the key points of what they said. So you say something like, it seems to me like these are your main points, A, B, C, and D. Those are the main points. And then you repeat that back to them. And when you do that, they're naturally going to say, that's right. Okay? That's what you want your counterpart thinking is, that's right. Okay? So it seems like you've had a rough day. It seems like you've rebounded well. Repeat and reword what they told you so they know you understand and you know what they mean. And it makes them more willing to move from their initial goals. You want to seek common ground. And it's important to differentiate. We're talking about empathy here and not sympathy, right? So we're talking about empathy, having empathy for the other person's position. All right, so here, as I mentioned too, there's an interesting story about Robin Williams, the late Robin Williams. A lot of people loved Robin for all his awesome characters, Mr. Doubtfire, Mrs. Doubtfire, and those types of movies. But what a lot of people don't realize, this is an interesting outtake, is Robin Williams in the movie Aladdin, he did the movie for his kids. He did the voiceover for a cut rate of something like $75,000. It was a cut rate. He's like, yeah, I'll just do it. My kids will love it. And he didn't realize that Disney, the movie Aladdin, was going to blow up to be such a blockbuster and rake in millions and millions of dollars and just a huge success. And then later, him and his agent went loud and long into the media about how they got ripped off and started complaining about it, right? Because he thought he didn't think he was treated fairly. He should have been paid more money, but he agreed to that, right? So if I'm using one of my strategies with him, and I said, well, what did you originally think when you accepted the offer, right? When you originally made this deal, what did you have in mind? You see, so these are how the labels will work. So anyways, you got to be careful how you use the word fair, okay? Because sometimes you can use fair in a way, in a nefarious manner where people would be, they will be upset because by disagreeing with you that it's a fair deal, you're implying that they're not being fair, right? All right, so here's the three uses of fair. Number one is a defensive move. Oh, we just want what's fair. The counterparts tend to raise their offer, okay? So there's nothing wrong with that. We just want what's fair. Nefarious is what I just mentioned, an accusation. We've given you a fair offer. It's a jab that's meant to distract you. Okay, correct response would be fair. It seems like you're ready to provide evidence that supports that's fair. Okay, and that was a good example for the NFL negotiations a while back. The NFL was negotiating with the Players Association, and they said they came out and said, well, it would seem like you would be open to opening your books then, if it's a fair offer, right? Show us your books, and they never did. They didn't want to show their books. And then as a positive, you want to feel you're being treated fairly at all times, and if at any time, please, let's go back and tell me when I started treating you unfairly. Okay, so you can kind of lead with that sometimes. I want you to feel like you're being treated fairly at all times, and if at any point you feel like you're not being treated fairly, let's go back and let's start over where you think we were being unfair to you. Okay. All right, let's see. Extreme anchor, we kind of talked about that. This is an interesting one too. The beware of yes, but master no chapter. So beware of yes. How many times have you gotten a call at night, you're sitting down for dinner, it's, they get you into this, they try to trap you in this yes pattern of, oh, do you drink water? Yes. It's like, no, I'm a camel, I don't drink water. But do you drink water? Yes. Okay, so when you drink water, I bet you like your water naturally, filtered from like it's from the earth. Yeah, the old yes pattern scripting, right? He's got an interesting point. He says, no, let's lead with no. You want to give, because when you offer no, it gives a safety point. Like think about parents when the kids always try to come up with they come up and try to trap you into a yes. Can so-and-so sleep over? Can this happen? If you need to know right now, the answer is no. But if you give me time to think about it, I'll consider it. Right? So these are interesting as well. Beware of yes, master no, and it gives them the illusion of control. It allows for a yes later, because you can always say yes later, but if you say no up front, it helps that. So there's some good ones in the book. For time's sake, I'm going to try to see what other slides I've got. Yeah, so there's 3 different types of negotiators. This is big too. Businesses do this you've heard of the DISC profiles. They try to figure out what each employee type they are. So you'll hear of analysts. That's more of like your detailed person, your underwriter. You've got an assertive person that's kind of high energy, fast paced. That's my, I think that's where I'm at. I'm somewhat of a collaborative as well. But you want to make things happen quickly. And then there's a third one called a collaborative, which is a combination of both. Your voice tones are very key. The way that you use your voice. For example, if you say something with a downward inflection, it means that it's non-negotiable. For example, for those in the real estate space, you might say, "Yes, I'm sorry, my commission is non-negotiable." And it's downward, right? Where if I said similar to the same thing, I would say, "Oh yeah, my commission, it's negotiable." See what I'm saying? So up versus down, right? So solid versus, and then you generally want to have a light and playful voice, right? Light and playful, energetic, attract people, be charismatic, have people want to do business with you, have people enjoy being around you. Again, back to the smiling effect. You're 31% smarter when you're smiling and you're in that positive state of mind. All right, so there's an Ackerman model of negotiation. This is pretty cool. So this is a time-tested negotiation strategy. It works for buyers and sellers. But what you do is you set your first offer at 65% of what you would actually take or want, right? And then you're going to calculate 3 decreasing raises of 85, 95, and then 100% of that goal, right? And then between each raise, you don't want to just haggle. If you're going back and forth in price, well, what about this number? What about that number? That's not where you want to be as a negotiator. You want to use each chance that you get to mirror and label and ask open-ended questions. Because every time you ask an open-ended question, you're taking the focus away from the numbers, and now you're going to the conversation below the conversation, right? That underlying reasoning and why. Because you don't want to be just countering each other quickly, because then you're going to lose ground quickly. You want to use lots of empathy and different ways to say no, and to get the other side to counter offer before you counter. Sometimes you'll go back and you'll say something else. I mean, I've had agents that I've just had these conversations with, and then the next thing I know, they're counter offering a number that I didn't counter offer. They're counter offering themselves rather. So that's not a good place to be as a negotiator. You can throw in the non-monetary item, like we talked about, law of reciprocation. Use mirrors, labels in response to haggling. So you want to use those mirrors and labels pretty often. And that's the Ackerman model of negotiation. And that's the book title right there, Chris Voss. 860 The Answer is our station as well. Kind of in closing, what would really help us is if you subscribe to our YouTube channel and our podcast. We'd greatly appreciate that. We've got over 1,200 videos now on our YouTube channel. And we bring on all types of different, expert contributors. So you can find a lot of information if you want to know more about, for example, estate planning, accounting, different things. So you could put in my show into YouTube, type in estate planning, and you'll see Joe Pippin come up. Just tons of videos from Joe Pippin. Different areas. So that really helps us. By subscribing, it helps us not to be canceled, to use a word that's very common today, canceling. So that helps us a lot. My contact information here as well. We'd love for you to follow us and tune into the show. We'll be on at 4 o'clock drive time every day.